is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
In the headlines, the second Blaan victim of the illegal search operations conducted by the armed authorities have been laid to rest. Residents of the area continue to demand justice for the horrific incident. We will take a closer look at the ongoing fight for justice in this community. Who is Pastor ACQ in the eyes of the indigenous people? Once thought to be evil by them, is actually the bridge to the Bagobo-Clata tribe sought after relief from the suffering caused by communist terrorist groups. In other news, the living conditions of Filipinos under President Bongbong Marcos Jr.'s administration has not improved. According to an economist, the ongoing struggles and awakening of the peso reflect the type of leadership of our country as in the hands of the current administration. Government abuses are also cited as a major reason why many Filipinos continue to suffer. For our top global stories, in Thailand, authorities have arrested members of a notorious transnational scam gang known for swindling billions of dollars from its victim. And Iran deploys new warships capable of operating on the high seas and confronting its adversaries in the region. I'm Franco Baranda. Newsline World starts now. The second indigenous Blaan who died after the illegal search operation by PNP-SAF in Kitbog, Malungon, Sarangani province has been laid to rest. The details in this report from Jean Domingo.
This is Purok Biangan, a part of Sitio Kitbog, several kilometers away from the KOJC religious compound. Yet the armed police still illegally barged into the homes of our fellow Bilaan residents here last June 10. Residents suffer intense fear and trauma, and up to this day, the aftermath can still be felt. This place is full of agony, as one of the victims has been laid to rest.
This is Purok Biangan, part of Sitio Kitbog, which, together with Purok Buyubuyo, was illegally entered by the PNP-SAF on June 10th. This was the date when the armed CIDG and SAF simultaneously raided the 4 religious compounds of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ. They did not have a search warrant for the area, so their entry can be considered illegal. And the homes of the Bilaan residents outside and far from the KOJC religious compounds were not included in the places that should have been searched. But why were they searched and forcibly evicted by the armed men at 3 o'clock in the morning? These are questions that remain unanswered until now, but they have left behind fear, deep trauma, and claimed 2 more lives. On June 11, Aurelio Lagunsay, an elderly indigenous Bilaan, passed away. According to his son, William Lagunsay, after the raid, the fear in his father never went away. He stopped eating until he eventually died. And the trials for the community did not end there after June 10, because aside from the intense fear and trauma, whenever they see the police, just days before William Lagunsay's father was laid to rest, his wife also suffered a medical attack and had to be brought to the hospital. With the help of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, Loretta Lagunsay was immediately given medical attention. However, due to the severe effects of the trauma, on June 26, Loretta Lagunsay passed away. After 7 days, the remains of the deceased Bilaan were finally laid to rest. And as part of the indigenous people community, a simple ceremony was held for her.
Kung buot na ko, huna-hunaon, ikan sa una, ang pagtagad niya sa akong bilang nga magtiayon, ili-lalim. Mawad ag asawa, mawad anong pinahas kinabuhi. Sakit kay isang taon na. Pero, ako lang giantos, kay kabalon ako, na anak ko sa gingharian, pinagi sa mga pulong sa aman, ito ginasiyang inihog na anak. Kunang Ang mga pulong ni Pastor, nagisiyang amahan dari sa akong kasing-kasing.
Here, her family members and friends poured out intense emotions and grief.
Medyo sad ate, pero sakit man sa kuha na halos dili na ako madawat ang nahitabo kay mama, pero tungkol sa mga pagtulo ni Pastor, murag na haigan ko na piskan di na ko madawat-dawatan na lang na ako.
Mensahe sa iya, wala na may mahimo kay gikuha naman siya sa amahan gikan sa mua, pero masakit jud kay murag pinugo siya gikan sa pagkuha sa amahan sa iya.
According to them, although they accept that Ate Loretta is in a better place, they cannot accept the reason for her demise. The fear and trauma brought about by the armed and merciless police who disturbed their peaceful community.
Yung kasi hanggang pag-hospital ni Mama, hanggang pagdating hindi ako umiyak. Sabi ko, pag umiyak ako, sayang yung luha ko. Hindi ko talaga, hanggang pagdating ko na doon, hindi ko na kaya pigilan talaga. Binuhos ko talaga. Medyo may galit. May galit sa puso ko. Alam mo na, may kunting dahilan. Galit at pot. Nilabas ko na. Kasi pag hindi ko kasi pinalabas, baka sa iba pamambalan yung galit ko. Kaya, iiyak ko na lang. Ganun na. Masakit talaga. Kasi mahirap talaga po sa first time mawala yung ina mo. Hindi mo talaga mapigilang lumuluwa ka talaga. Kasi namimiss mo talaga yung alaga niya, pagmamahal niya.
Tuloy pa rin ang justisya, hiningi ko lang, may asaman. Kung pagbuot man yun sa Ginoo o sa amahan pinagay kay Pastor, dili man pa mingon ani nga mawalan kong pamilya. Kundi itungod ana, sabay-sabay po diha ang pagsakit sa buot sa akong asawa nga sa dugay nga panahon, hustisya ang akong gipangita nga para ang akong pamilya nga may kuusa na pud mitanan nga padayon sa amo ang pag-alagan ngadto sa among buhi nga Dios.
Hindi na maulit yan.
Hindi na ko gusto nga maulit pa sa among komunidad nga anak nga mahitabo. Hustisya lang akong gipangayo. Ayaw na sila magadto diri kay wala misala sila. Amo na akong mensahe.
The actions of the Philippine National Police Special Action Force in the area were a clear violation of human rights, whether the victims were indigenous people or not.
So kining gibuhat nila sa pamahalaan karon, dako gid nga injustice. Labi na sa atong mga igsoong katutubo. Kay kini sila protektado gid sila sa IPRA law. Nga dili ka pwedeng sulod nga di mananghid sa ilang teritoryo. Ilang dwellings ni. Di na lang nato hisgutan sa ang pagka-kingdom member nila. Dili lang sa ilahang tribal community, musulod ka, mananghid ka sa ilahang tribo. Naana sa balaod sa IPRA. Isa na nga violation nga daw ko kayo. Pagsulod pa lang. So illegal entry na to. Labi nagbuadto na ka sa balay, manukto ka, 10 oras sa gabi o buntag sayo, forced entry, nihangyo ang tagbalay nga please, unya kamo, authority sila, naaslay mandate nga proteksyonan ang mga communities, ang citizen. Labi na sila nga mga tribo. Kay well protected sila sa balaod. Unya dili nimo na buhaton. Okay, nahitabo sa atong mga igsoon, dapat lang gyud nga buhatan ni og aksyon. Aron nga ang ilang katungod maproteksyonan.
According to the residents, this was the first time they had seen armed police officers enter their homes. So this incident will not easily be forgotten in their minds.
So nakikiramay tayo sa pamilya. Naririnig nyo ngayon, punong-puno ng emosyon at pagdadalamhati, hindi lamang ang pamilya ni Ate Loretta, kundi ang buong Nilaan community dito sa Purok Biangan.
According to other residents, they are not far from suffering the same fate as Tatay Aurelio and Ate Loretta. After the ceremony, the Indigenous Blaan people of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ also expressed their gratitude. They said that despite what happened, their gratitude will remain and their support for Pastor Polo Sikibuloy or their Dato Tudlabon will not be lost.
Kung hindi talaga makapasok sa kingdom yung kapatid ko, mahirapan talaga sa buhay. Kasi yung nangyayari sa kanya, yung sa hospital siya. So kung wala siguro nakatulong sa kanya, pati kami nadamay talaga sa mga problema. Pero nakapasalamat kami sa inyo. Pasalamat namin sa inyong grupo bilang sa kingdom. Natulungan ninyo akong kapatid. So thank you.
Mga yun may gustisya. Kung kabubuton sa mantagan may gustisya kang papa, pinagi sayang anak. Dako namo ng kalipay. Kung kabalo lang siya, kabalo pa sila, o kung sa imong kalibutbun. Sakit yun ang among gibati para sa among kahimtang karon. Kung baga wala ka sa amahan, maglisod yun kag dawat. Gusto ka magkarimentado dyan ka kay ngano kung wala kasamahan. Pero pinagi siyang anak, itudluan dyan ni. Ugin sa'y pagpailob, ugin sa po pangay gustisya sa amahan. Ang amahan dili siya magpabaya siyang mga anak. Makunin natin gustisya kay maumang ingon na pastor sa ato, kung sa atong gituong, mutuo taog natay gustisya, mao dyan ang maabot sa atong kinabuhi, makabot yun natong gustisya.
Kung hindi naman natin kaya sa ito sa lupa, at least alam naman ng Panginoon, siya naman maalam ng lahat. Kaya sa kanya natin pabaya.
Pastor, salamat yun kaayo kay kung wala ka sa mong kinabuhi, wala po mi mahimo. Wala mi mahimo yun. Kaya nga naman mi, problema, wala mi mahimo yun. Kung wala po mi nakasulod. Kaya kung wala mi naminaw nga nag-ingon ka, unahaw na itong amahan, unahaw na itong gingarian. O kang tanang butang igadugang sa tuwa. Tanawa, pasalamat mo kay Pastor. Kung wala si Pastor sa mong kinabuhi, amot lang yun. Kung wala si Pastor di sa kitbog, tanang IPIS. Kung wala si Pastor Gihimog, Dato Tudlabon, wala yun. Na makaroon daghan kayo mga pinsan na naabot. Pasalamat ko sa mahal pinaan ni Pastor. Pastor, salamat. We love you. I love you, Pastor.
Ay, Pastor, daghan kay salamat sa mga privilege ng mong gihatag sa kuwang pamilya. Ilabi na sa Tibok Kingdom Nation ang nagtabang sa kuwa, gikan sa mga nurse. May asamahan nga naapod ang tanan mga Kingdom for miracle worker nga nagtabang sa kuwa. Daghan kay salamat, Pastor. Kung wala ka, Pastor, wala ang akong maison nga makilan ako. Tungod nimo, Pastor, dako kayong pasalamat nako sa imo. Sangko sa langit, Pastor, ang akong pagpasalamat ya kanimo. Wala ko kamata, Pastor, kung wala ang imong mga pulong, pinagi sa imong mga USB, pinagi sa imong mga record. Ako, Pastor, nakamata sa tinuod. Bisag naabot ang baliktad pagkalibutan, Pastor, dili joy kumubiya nga pagsunod sa imong mga pulong. Pinagi sa atong buhi nga Diyos. Dalat, salamat.
Ikaw at ako,
must perish. Until when will the rights of our Blaan brothers and sisters be trampled upon? When will the fear brought by the PNP-SAF who came here disappear? These questions remain unanswered, but one thing is certain. Under the leadership of Pastor Polo Sikibuloy, the fight will continue until justice is served. From Malungon, Sarangani Province, I am Jane Domingo for God and my beloved country.
Meanwhile, residents of Cebosa, Matanao, Davao del Sur were alarmed when 6 private vehicles carrying the Philippine National Police personnel suddenly arrived at a residence. Homeowners are questioning the legality of their operation. Jason Rubrico reports.
Aside from the KOJC religious compounds, some of our fellow citizens, particularly in Davao del Sur, have also experienced illegal searches conducted by the Philippine National Police. The violent attack by the Philippine National Police Special Action Force on KOJC religious compounds on June 10 was followed by an operation on a private residence in Davao del Sur. SMNI News learned that the residence was approached by 6 vehicles carrying officers from the Criminal Investigation and Detection Group around 8 p.m. on July 1. Beverly, the homeowner, recounted her shock as her house was surrounded by more than 30 heavily armed police officers.
Natingala na lang ko nga na ay nihunong nga sakyanan sa tubangan. Unya, paglili na ako kay kuan man, nakikita na ko naka-uniform niya na ay armas. Di na kuan ko na kuyawan, nangurog na kugtaman. Ispat-ispat sila. Daghang kain ko, ano unsa man ni? Uy, nganong naaman ni kuan diri ni hunong, niya diri man nagatubang niya na may mga armas. Ni anak ko, na unsa man kakuanin nila, uy.
Frightened, Beverly called her nephew Aljun, but the police almost did not let him in because it was supposedly not allowed.
Nanawag si auntie. Dali kong ani diri. Jun, ani asa ko diri Jun. Itago sa kay kulbaan. Sir, basig pwede na to tan-aw mo ang kuan. Kay basig daan diha nang tago ba kay diri mo gito padulong. Nay gigukod duha. Sensa man niya gigukod sir, kaya taaso no katong mubo nga kambukon daw. Diri daw nidagan padulong. Ang ilang istorya diri daw padulong. Nakit-an daw nila ni sulod daw diri. Kung sa to pa naa siguro sila daan diha.
The police reportedly searched the entire house, including the back. Aljun mentioned that had the police not informed him that their targets were already inside the house, he would not have allowed them entry. Furthermore, Aljun said the police did not show any documents such as a search warrant or warrant of arrest, nor did they have a barangay official to attest to the legality of their operation. The ordeal left the family traumatized and fearful. They now urge authorities to uphold their mandate to serve and to protect.
Dapat ka nang maki-coordinate unta sila sa kung naa sila manggali gusto nga sudlon nga lugar, dapat mopaybalo sila unta sa kapitan kay para po nga makapangandam pud ta kung kinsa ilang tuyo ug unsa ilang tumong kay para di po ta makuratan, di po ta ma-shock kung makakita ta nila nga naa na sa tuang tugaran.
Para sa kuha, maminato manggod. Akto na manggod siya na ginaas daw sila gigukod. Dapat na magpahibalo po sila, coordinate sila sa barangay or sa mga kuhan. Magpahibalo ba nga nana, naaday kuhan nila na sila'y ridon or unsa ba?
Based on Section 2, Article 3 of the Bill of Rights, every person has the right to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures of whatever nature and for any purpose. Individuals have the right to request the names of police officers and their authorization to conduct the operation. They can also verify if the officers are equipped with body cameras or recording devices to ensure transparency and documentation of the operation. Asserting your right to record the situation is important to protect your rights. To recall, a similar incident occurred at the KOJC religious compounds where police forcefully attacked the areas. This incident caused severe trauma to hundreds of KOJC missionary workers, both young and old. In Kitbog, 2 members of the Blaan tribe died due to trauma caused by the police actions during an attack on their homes. Reporting from Davao City, for God and my beloved Philippines, I am Jason Rubrico, SMNI News.
Following the kidnapping and killing of 2 Chinese businessmen in the Philippines, the Chinese embassy is urging the government to ensure the protection of Chinese nationals in the country. Meanwhile, a movement is appealing to the government to address the reported kidnap for ransom cases targeting Chinese victims. Angel Pastor filed this report.
On On June 24, 2 bodies of Chinese businessmen were found in Sangay, Camarines Sur. They were suspected victims of a kidnap for ransom operation. According to PNP-PIO Chief Colonel Jean Fardo, the victims arrived in the Philippines on June 20 for a business trip. However, they were abducted by unidentified perpetrators. On June 21, the families of the victims received a ransom demand of 5 million Chinese yuan, which is equivalent to about 40 million pesos. Their families reportedly paid the ransom but lost contact with the suspects thereafter. Following the killings of the 2 Chinese nationals in the country, the Chinese Foreign Ministry called on the Philippine government to take necessary steps to protect the safety of their citizens residing in the country. In response, a meeting was held on July 1st between the Chinese ambassador and Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, who chairs the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission or PAOC, to strengthen efforts against transnational crime. Teresita Angsi, advisor to the Movement for Restoration of Peace and Order, expressed deep concern over recent crimes targeting Chinese nationals in the Philippines. She noted that this isn't the first time Chinese nationals have been abducted and killed in the country, citing previous cases of kidnap for ransom. Angsi lamented the lack of attention these cases receive, but due to the high-profile nature of the victims, this case may garner more attention, especially with FBI personnel currently in the Philippines assisting in the investigation.
Nakakalungkot din kasi pag Chinese citizens lang ang nagiging biktima, parang tahimik, wala namang nobody advocates for them. Kami lang usually ang nahihinga ng tulong ng family to help kung anong dapat nilang gawin. Ano ba ang step na dapat nilang gawin?
Meanwhile, Angsi expressed dismay over a statement made by a priest in a video repeatedly using the term slanty-eyed, seemingly referring to Chinese people.
Bakit pati ang itsura ng tao nagiging issue ngayon? Ano man, singkit ka man, banlag ka man, bulag ka man, tao ka pa rin. No, bakit kailangan mo i-single out yung mga singkit? Bakit Chinese Filipinos lang ba, Chinese lang ba ang mga singkit? You have Japanese, you have Koreans. So you are blanket condemning Asians for being singkit. Parang, siyempre, alam naman natin ang pagpapatungkol niya, yung makitid, no? Pero bakit gagamitin niya ang singkit na it's a word very specific to a race, no? The Chinese Filipinos. It has never been used for other Asians.
She also said that people should be cautious in using words that indicate anti-Chinese sentiment.
It's very, very unfortunate, no, na bakit kailangan pang gawin niya? So be careful tayo also kasi yung mga loaded words and language like it hurts, no? And it destroys our own humanity. We Filipinos are Christians. We are very tolerant people, no? We are celebrated in the world for being a very tolerant people. Kaya i-avoid na lang natin yung mga loaded na mga words na ganyan, na very anti-Chinese.
This is also said to have a significant effect on those who want to help the Philippines, and more are becoming reluctant to come to the country because of racism.
Using the racial card has very insidious collateral damage. No? Malaki ang nagiging epekto niyan sa buong Chinoy community at sa mga legitimate Chinese investors, professionals who want to come here, who want to help the Philippines, who want to invest and improve our technology and our business climate.
In the end, Angsi said that violence would not resolve the conflict and such issues should be properly addressed through proper negotiations.
Tandaan natin ang karamihan ng mga nangyayaring sigalot sa buong mundo, no? Ukraine and Russia, the Hamas and Israel, maraming nangyayari yung mga Houthis, and the Middle East. Madami kasi nangyayari yan, mga racist, racial wars, no? Yung mga hindi pagkakaintindihan, kaibahan ng lahi. Kaya huwag nating palalain, ano, yung mga nangyayari kasi Ika nga, no, kami talagang very, very close advocates that we shouldn't visit the wars of our fathers on the next generation.
For God and my beloved Philippines, Angel Pastor, SMNI News.
The man once thought to be evil by the Bagobo Klata tribe in Sitio Causayan, Calinan, Davao City turns out to be the bridge to the tribe's sought after relief. Who exactly is Pastor Polo ACQ in the eyes of the indigenous people? Let's delve more into this with Hannah Jane Sancho.
For many years, the armed communist terrorists CPP, NPA-NDF deceived many of our indigenous brothers and sisters from the Bagobo Klata tribe, residing in Sitio Causayan, Calinan, Davao City. One of them is Girly Carillo.
Actually, ma'am, nagbisita lang po ko sa Ilada sa Julo sa 2015. Kaya gusto lang kong tanawan ng mga dagway sa NPA ba. Yeah. Pag-abot na ko dito is gi-organize na ko nila. Tapos wala na ko nila paulia. So ang pasalig is sabay na daw may mga 1 week or 15 days. Pwede na ko nila paulion. So ang naitabo is nadugay man ko sa ila kay siyempre gitagaan ko nilang tahas. Usa ko ka medical sa maong grupo.
Girly's supposed 15-day stay in the NPA camp extended to 3 years. Benji Jarog comes from a well-known family in the Bagobo Klata, Sitio Causayan. Many members of the Jarog family were part of the armed struggle of the New People's Army. But when asked if the NPA helped his family and tribe, this was his response.
Kami na sulod magyud mi sa NPA yun sa unang panahon. So among nakita dito nga murag wala magyapon siya kabaguan kay murag gigamit ra gyapon ta sa ba sa pa murag nagisa ra gyapon ta sa sarili nato nga mantika na.
In fact, the CPP, NPA, NDF planted many negative thoughts about Pastor Apollo Sikibuloy in the minds of the Bagobo Klata tribe.
Si pastor daw, dili mayong tao. Sa mga silingan po nako, anaapod lang kahadlok. Diri ba sa sulod kung nga nasli makahadlok sa una nga na daw diri ang mga tao nga kanang isog.
Kalangi kayo naman gud kami dito mi sa pakigbisog nga NPA. So dito ba nga nahibal-an na mo nga siya nahimong dautan no, sa among tan-aw.
The perception of the Bagobo Klata tribe changed when they had the chance to know Pastor Apollo Sikibuloy better, which eventually led to a healing and reconciliation ritual. The ceremony took place on June 5, 2022, symbolizing unity. It also marked the beginning of the IP community's freedom from the deceptive communist terrorist group, CPP, NPA, NDF. Meanwhile, the IB community awarded the title of Dato Pamulingan to Pastor Apollo Sikibuloy on March 6, 2023. The honorary title was given to Pastor Apollo by the Mindanao Indigenous Peoples Conference for Peace and Development. Pastor Apollo is close to our indigenous brothers and sisters because they were part of a spiritual journey when he was called by the Almighty Father and underwent rigorous training in the mountains of Kitbug and Tamayong.
Personally akong kita kay pastor, maayo nga tao, buutan. Subay po sa akong nasaksihan sa panaglingkuray, panagatubanay, maayo siya. Dili ingol nga tining ako istorya nga tinud-anay ning istorya ako yun, no? Nga si pastor maayo man Jesus sa tribo. Gani daghang siya natabangan sa mga tribo.
Na member ko. So, diha na ko nasuta. Katong gipang dala nga isyu sa amo sa una. Dili di ito tinuod, ma'am. Pagdaot lang yun di ito sa pangalan ni pastor. So, dili yun di ito tinuod. Once nga diha nga na member ko ni pastor, nakita na ko diha kang pastor, ang iyang pagkamaayo. Maayo siya nga tao, dili daotan iyang tumong, kundi para gyud sa kaluwasan sa kalag sa mga tao. Para sa kalag yun ang iyang tuyo. Tingami sa mga isyo nga ingon ana nga gihatagan si pastor sa kadaghanan nga isyo nga mga sala nga sa ako lang kabahin Anong tagaan man si pastor og sala nga wala man gani nagsunod og pamilya.
Meanwhile, Rene Suhat, a member of the Bagobo Klata, who has been with Pastor Apollo Sikibuloy on Glory Mountain for almost a decade, insists that the accusation against the good pastors are baseless.
Sa akong pagtanaw ka ng naay makauban ni pastor diri, nindot. Pag-abot sa side sa mga bata, ingon sa amahan gyud si pastor sa mga bata. Nagtupod sa mga babae. So, murag inahan, amahan siya nga manudlo ana. Oo. Nga hangtod nga miabot sa amo nga isip mga hamtong na. So muna nga kanang ingon nila nga dili may si pastor. Para sa ako dili na tinuod. Pangdaot na kang pastor. Pangdaot na. Kay kami pila na sulod ng 8 ka tuig na. Wa gid koy nakita ng pastor nga nanudlo nga pangawat mo, pagpatay mo, panulis mo wala. Kay dili ka na ang iyang misyon. Kung dili ang iyang misyon, mutudlo sa pagkamatarong.
Even Henry Ombol, who has been with Pastor on Glory Mountain for many years and has been persuaded many times to leave the good pastor's side because attacks on the KOJC religious compounds would happen someday. Why didn't he leave Pastor Apollo?
Tugod kay dili basta-basta biyaan ako siya. Kay tungod kay ang kaluwasan manggod una-una magnasabtan ang kaluwasan sa akong kalag. Mo na akong gibarugan una-una. Ang pag-abri ni pastor sa akong salabutan nga nakaila ko nga naay amahan apoy anak, appointed son. So mo nang giingon nako na mamatay og babuhi, ingko amahan, mo to ako gipasilihan kanunay. Kay nakaila ko kang pastor.
The goodness of Pastor Apollo Sikibuloy or Dato Pamulingan is forever etched in the hearts and minds of the indigenous people from the Bagobo Klata tribe. No accusations and slander by those who wish to bring down Pastor Apollo and the Kingdom Nation will change how they view the good pastor. The goodness and love they see from Pastor Apollo prevail above all. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Hannah Jane Sancho, SM9 News.
Up next, in Indonesia, a group of hackers surprisingly issued an apology after launching a massive cyber attack in the country. The incident reportedly compromised the national security and crippled hundreds of government agencies in the country. And suspended Mayor Alice Guo was a no-show at the Department of Justice's preliminary investigation. Guo was given 15 days to submit a counter-affidavit, which she must personally file before the DOJ panel. More news when Newsline World returns. An economist explained the reasons behind the continuous decline of the peso against the dollar. According to Maybank research, the exchange rate might reach 60 pesos to the dollar. Meanwhile, another economist says that the value of a country's currency reflects its leadership and governance. Here's the news.
Maybank Research recently reported that the peso-dollar exchange rate could reach 60 pesos to the dollar in the third quarter of this year. This follows the continuous depreciation of the Philippine peso. Currently, the exchange rate hovers at over 58 pesos to the dollar. According to Dr. Michael Batu, an economist, the Philippines' ongoing imports are one of the reasons for the peso's decline.
Bakit tayo yung pinakamahina? It turns out, MJ, no, kaya ganyan is mas marami yung dollars na lumalabas kaysa sa pumapasok. So sa kaso po natin, mataas ang demand, no? Kasi nga tayo po angkat ng angkat, at yung supply na pumapasok ay hindi ganun kalakas, ano? Kaya nangyayari is talagang humihina yung valor ng ating piso at lumalakas ang dolyar.
Dr. Bato added that the weakening of the peso negatively impacts the prices of basic goods and services, and the rising costs of essential goods are making daily life increasingly difficult for every Filipino. For Dr. Bato, the weakening of the peso reflects the leadership of the Philippines.
Dok, yung bang mahinang balor ng piso ay reflective po ba yan sa mahilang liderato ng isang bansa?
Oo naman, kasi mas ang bilis ng sagot ko kasi titingnan natin bakit ba humihina yung valor? Tayo'y angkat ng angkat. Bakit ba tayo angkat ng angkat? Kasi yung ating produksyon hindi sumasabay sa demand. No? So bakit ba mahina ang produksyon? Kasi hindi na nagagawa ng ating pamahalaan yung mga proper conditions para mai-increase yung production sa ating ekonomiya. So at the end of the day, ang bagsak nito, MJ, is economic management.
Because of the relentless increase in the cost of living in the Philippines, many Filipinos do not feel an improvement in their lives under the leadership of Bongbong Marcos.
Tatanong tayo sa ating mga kababayan kung nag-improve ba ang iyong standard of living nitong mga nagdaang 2 taon. Marami sa kanila sasabihin sa iyo hindi nag-improve yan. Kasi nga, yung ating production hindi sumasabay doon sa demand. Meron tayong kakulangan. At ang ginagawa natin is umaangkat na lang tayo.
Meanwhile, Dr. Bato laments that President Marcos' trips to various countries have not resulted in actual investments, and instead, they only brought pledges and promises.
Kung makikita natin din, yung investor sentiment, hindi masyadong maganda sa ating bansa rin. Kasi unang-una, nandyan ang problema ng inflation, nandyan yung problema ng governance, nandyan yung problema ng graft and corruption, nandyan yung problema ng mahinang institusyon. So, hindi siya nagiging conducive talaga sa pag-generate ng mga investment. Kaya nga kailangan diyan tutukan ng ating Pangulo, lalong-lalo na yung ating mga economic managers, is kung paano mag-create yung proper conditions para kung saan yung ating mga investment, lalo-lalo yung mga investment pledges, ma-realize po ito na maging talagang totoong investment.
For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this is Valdivina Gracia, SMNA News.
In addition to the Committee on Accounts, another Senate committee wants to investigate the controversial budget increase for the construction of the new Senate building. Sara Santos with the report.
To maintain public trust in the Senate as an institution, Senator Robin Padilla wants to investigate the alleged ballooning expenses for the new Senate building. On Thursday, Padilla filed Senate Resolution 1063, tasking the Senate Committee on Public Information and Mass Media, which he chairs, to conduct an investigation in aid of legislation. During the Committee on Accounts hearing on the 3rd of July, DPWH Project Director Soledad Florencio explained that the project had been delayed by over 800 days. This has resulted in various additional costs, including 78 million pesos due to extensions, 800 million pesos for project variation orders, and 173 million pesos for additional design fees. Padilla emphasized the importance of identifying the contractors and subcontractors involved in the project. Padilla pointed out that as part of the government, the Senate should exemplify transparency and accountability to the public. Former Senator Panfilo Lacson expressed his dismay over the clash between two senators regarding the new Senate building. Lacson found the exchange of harsh words between Senators Nancy Binay and Alan Pita Cayetano distressing. It can be recalled that Binay and Cayetano had a heated exchange during a hearing investigating the alleged budget increase for the new Senate building. Both Binay and Lacson are former chairpersons of the Committee on Accounts, which oversees the project, while Cayetano is the current chairperson. Lacson had envisioned the new Senate home to be world-class and iconic during his tenure. However, he is saddened that it is now seen as a symbol of misuse of public funds. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Sara Santos, SMNI News.
Former Executive Secretary Vic Rodriguez has spoken about his experiences in the Marcos Jr. administration. MJ Mondihar reports.
At the launch of his tell-all book in a hotel in Pasig City, former Executive Secretary Vic Rodriguez detailed his experiences during his 79 days serving in the cabinet under the Marcos administration. Rodriguez is a close friend who served as chief of staff and chief strategist for Marcos during the 2022 elections. He was also Marcos Jr.'s lawyer in his electoral protest against Vice President Lenin Robredo in 2016, a time when the Marcos family had few allies after losing the VP race. In his book, authored by veteran writer Jerry Lirio, Rodriguez explains how his relationship with First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos soured. This was especially true when Araneta Marcos wanted to insert her influence into revenue-generating offices like the Bureau of Customs, BIR, PAGCOR, and PCSO. Rodriguez said that she even called meetings at Malacanang with cabinet members. Rodriguez also recounts how he felt compelled to follow the First Lady's orders, despite her lack of public mandate.
There are those who would want to be appointed right away and get in the line ahead of those that we were processing before them. Kaya lang, bulong dito, bulong dyan, paninira doon.
Rodriguez also mentioned in his book that the First Lady wanted to have more power over military appointments. In the early part of the Marcos regime, there were several reshuffles in the armed forces of the Philippines. Some affected were former AFP Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Bartolome Bacaro and former Intelligence Chief Brigadier General Keith Teofilo. According to the book, Araneta Marcos was angered by General Teofilo's report about an anti-Rodriguez group forming in the cabinet. Because of this, Araneta Marcos allegedly accused Rodriguez of wiretapping her family using ESAF. It's worth recalling that Araneta Marcos released a video with former Presidential Security Group Chief Brigadier General Ramon Zagala denied her involvement in government appointments. However, Rodriguez's book details what really happened.
Kailangan yung meron lang mandato ang nagdedesisyon. Maaari kang humingi ng payo, natural. At maaari kang humingi ng wisdom, legal or non-legal advice. But at the end of the day, it's the call of the one who was elected into office as president and no one else.
Due to issues with the First Lady, Rodriguez was forced to resign as executive secretary, being offered the position of presidential chief of staff. Meanwhile, Rodriguez was asked if he believes that it's the First Lady and not the president running the country.
Hindi ako naniniwala na yun yung direksyon na kung hahayaan mo siyang mag-decision at mag-isip. Hindi ako naniniwala yun ang direksyon ni Presidente Marcos. So could be what's happening now are the result of the influence of some, of one, or of many.
Rodriguez also answered whether he thinks Marcos Jr. should resign. This comes amid intense public pressure from the Maisog peace rallies held across the country and around the globe.
Ferdinand Marcos Sr., for all his many shortcomings, meron din siyang objectively I'm looking at him. Nung dulo na, February of 1986, nung sinabihan siyang cut and cut clean, doon mo makikita, sablay-sablay na, ensembles na ang ating bansa, yet he cut and cut clean, he stepped down. Dahil nasiisip niya siguro na hindi na siya mabuti sa Pilipino. At kung dan natin susundin na kung ano yung puno, siya rin ang bunga, sana, sa aspeto ngayon, positibo yan na hindi na ako mabuti sa bansa, I'll step down, alis na lang ako. That was the puno noong 1986, noong February. We'll see if the bunga on that positive appreciation of things will step up and do the supreme sacrifice and follow the footstep of the father.
For Government of Philippines, I'm Jem on the app. SMNI News.
Bamban Tarlac Mayor Alice Guo failed to show at the DOJ hearing with only her lawyer attending the initial preliminary investigation regarding the human trafficking complaint against the suspended mayor. Guo was given 15 days to submit a counter affidavit, which she must personally file before the DOJ panel. Let's hear more details from Margaret Gonzalez.
Only the lawyer of suspended Banban Tarlac Mayor Alice Guo attended the first day of the preliminary investigation at the Department of Justice or DOJ regarding the human trafficking complaint filed against her. During the preliminary investigation, the suspended mayor was only given 15 days to submit her counter affidavit. According to DOJ Undersecretary Nicholas Felix T., if Go will file her counter affidavit at the next hearing on July 22, she must show up and personally file it, insisting that she needs to take an oath for her statements.
Dapat kung gusto nila mag-file ng counter affidavit, kailangan sila magpakita dito. Kailangan siya magpakita dahil kung hindi tatanggapin ang kanyang counter affidavit.
The 13 other respondents were also a no-show at the preliminary investigation. They were also given 15 days to file their counter affidavits. Meanwhile, the DOJ warned other individuals who attended the Senate hearing investigation to come to the agency and submit responses if they do not want to be charged.
Yung para doon sa mga respondents na nagsabi na nadawit lang sila. Nananawagan ako na kailangan kayo magpakita dito Kailangan kayo sumagot dahil kung di kayo sumagot, baka makasuhan kayo. Hindi sa Senado ang proper venue upang mahain yung depensa yun na yun, kundi dito sa Department of Justice. They should file their response here in the DOJ and at the same time, nanawagan kami sa kanila na tumulong sa kaso. Kung pwede, maghain ng sariling reklamo na finalsify, na ginamit yung kanilang identity or tumulong talaga sa ebidensya, sa investigation ng gobyerno laban doon sa mga nagpapatakbo ng illegal pogo na to.
Meanwhile, in a media interview, Attorney Alex Avisado Jr., the lawyer representing Alice Go, asserted that the human trafficking complaint against his client is weak due to a lack of solid evidence from the complainants.
Ang burden of evidence required, napakataas. Proof beyond reasonable doubt. To indict Mayor Alice Go, there must be reasonable certainty of conviction. So ang crime na human trafficking, nakukumit if you recruit, transport, transfer persons for domestic employment, pero ang purpose mo talaga ay prostitution, sexual exploitation, slavery, forced labor. Tignan ninyo ang ebidensya against Mayor Alice Go. Papel, bill ng kuryente, letter of no objection, articles of incorporation. Itong mga dokumento na ito, hindi enough to commit the crime of human trafficking. There must be overt act. So itong kaso na ito, na final against her, mahina. With all due respect, mahina. Medyo pilit ho talaga. In fact, pag binasa ninyo yung complaint, aminado ang CIDG at ang PAOK-CC that there is no direct evidence of human trafficking against Mayor Alice Go.
Meanwhile, the Office of the Solicitor General announced that they already filed a petition to cancel Mayor Alice Go's birth certificate due to her failure to comply with legal requirements for late registration. According to the OSG, they will follow this with a petition for Go Warranto, who shall pave the way for her removal from office. For God and the beloved Philippines, this has been Margaret Gonzalez, SMNI News.
The Ninoy Aquino International Airport, or NAIA, has long been widely criticized. From its facilities to its services, passengers frequently point out various issues and shortcomings. Despite this, the Department of Transportation assures that changes are coming and reforms and modernization efforts will soon begin at the airport, with improvements expected to be felt by next year. Carla Bellana reports.
The Ninoy Aquino International Airport has a capacity of 32 million passengers per year. However, according to the Department of Transportation, NAIA handles up to 50 million passengers annually. This resulted in airport congestion, leading to frequent damage to facilities and equipment. Elevators, escalators, and walkolators often break down due to the uncontrolled influx of passengers at NAIA. Transportation Secretary Jaime Bautista stated that reforms at the airport should be noticeable by next year.
Well, dapat by early next year, dapat makakita na tayo ng reform, no, ng improvement. Alam mo, yung mga elevators natin, maayos na yan, yung escalators, yung walkolator. As early as now ay nag-start ng mag-order ng mga parts, no, ang winning bidder, no. So sabi nga namin, dapat by Christmas dapat maayos na lahat yan eh.
Bautista also mentioned that they are coordinating with the Bureau of Immigration through the Department of Justice to add more immigration counters to address a primary concern for deporting passengers who often face long lines before reaching the boarding gate.
Siguro yung mga immigration counters dyan sa Terminal 3, nadagdagan natin by almost 20% na kaagad. No? And magkakaroon pa tayo ng additional counters. No? And at the same time, dadagdagan natin yung automated system nila. No?
The new NAIA Infrastructure Corporation or NNIC led by San Miguel Corporation emerged as the winning consortium for the NAIA privatization project. Under their management, NAIA is expected to undergo renovations aiming for a cleaner and more comfortable experience before the next year's Holy Week. For God in my beloved Philippines, Carla Abellana, SMNI News.
The Budget Department has released the remaining 27 billion pesos on paid COVID allowance of healthcare workers. There are over 5 million beneficiaries for health emergency allowance claims, while over 4,000 for other benefits. Creselyn Catarong reports.
The health workers have set to receive the remaining unpaid health emergency allowance claims. This is after the Department of Budget and Management released this Friday the special allotment release order and notice of cash allocations of over 27 billion pesos for the validated beneficiaries submitted by the Department of Health. According to DBM Secretary Amina Pangandaman, there are more than 5 million beneficiaries for health emergency allowance claims, while there are over 4,000 beneficiaries of the COVID-10 sickness and death compensation claims. Pangandaman said the DOH list has been validated and that the DBM is working with the DOH to facilitate the distribution. The budget chief also mentioned that since the amount is quite large, the DOH will distribute the funds to their regional offices and they will be the ones to distribute it. Pangandaman hopes that the remaining emergency allowance will be properly distributed to the beneficiaries and distribute it as soon as possible. The DOH first shared that barangay health workers assigned to licensed health facilities or health-related establishments involved in the response to COVID-19 are eligible for the health emergency allowance. Once the DBM downloads the 27 billion pesos special allotment release order, the DOH will immediately be sub-allotted to the respective centers for health development. This will facilitate the disbursement of health emergency allowance to local government units and private health facilities under their jurisdiction. For God and for my beloved Philippines, this has been Creselyn Catarong, SMNI News.
The SIM card registration law was enacted in December 2022. However, scams using SIM cards still seem to be rampant. Are government agencies taking steps to combat these activities? Carlo de la Peña will give us the details.
It has been nearly 2 years since Republic Act number 11934, also known as the SIM card law, was implemented in the Philippines. The goal is to curb the number of scams by requiring SIM card registration. However, many Filipinos are still falling victim to scams through text messages and messaging apps.
Yung teknolohiya na ginagamit sa pag-scam long since evolved. For example, marami sa mga text scam hindi natin napapansin ay nag-evolve na ang ginagamit ay yung, halimbawa kung Apple ka, iMessenger, kung Android ka, yung Android Messenger. Ang tawag natin dito ay OTT applications. Also, meron rin mga tinatawag na IMSI catchers or mga fake BTS kung saan hindi ginagamit ang SIM card pero kaya magpadala ng broadcast messages sa inyong mga telepono.
Because of this, Department of Information and Communications Technology or DICT Undersecretary Jeffrey D. admitted that there are still weaknesses in implementing the SIM card registration.
For example, marami pa rin kasi mga exemptions. Halimbawa, yung mga foreigners, no? Kapag ikaw ay in transit sa Pilipinas, mga less than 10 days ka lang dito sa Pilipinas, inaalaw kasi natin na yung SIM card nila hindi mo na i-register.
Thus, the DICT continues to collaborate with other government agencies to combat the increasing number of scams and other forms of cybercrime in the Philippines.
Marami na tayo napansin na ganyan dahil yung NBI, PNP, katuwang ang CICC, marami na rin nahuhuli. Hundreds of thousands of SIM cards na rin na ginagamit sa scam. Ang maganda naman dito, may audit mechanism. Inatasan ng TICT na i-audit ang mga telco after 1 year of implementation. Yun nga yung minumungkahi namin. I-audit. Actually ngayon si NTC, inutusan na yung mga telco na mag-submit ng kanilang report tungkol sa kanilang registration databases. And then from there, titingnan natin, like I said, we will need to verify this versus yung database naman natin ng mga tunay na identities as registered versus the national ID, driver's license, or whatever IDs that they submitted.
Meanwhile, regarding the issue of hacking in government agencies, the DICT is calling for their collaboration.
Nananawagan din kami sa mga government agencies na seryosohin nila. Alam niyo po, ang cybersecurity kasi favors attackers. It is cheaper to attack and more expensive to defend. So the only way we can defeat the cyber criminals is to make cyber attacks more costly. And we can only do that if we work together.
For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Carlo de la Peña, SMNI News.
AirAsia Philippines will have a system upgrade to its systems for enhanced customer journey. This is why the company advises guests with scheduled domestic and international flights on the evening of July 10 to complete their check-in via airasia.com or the AirAsia Move app 2 days before their flight. Carla Abelian is back for more news.
AirAsia Philippines announced that they will have a system upgrade from 7 p.m. on July 10 to 3 a.m. on July 11, which will affect all online transactions from bookings, check-in procedures, online kiosk, and bag drop to everything of AirAsia operated airports. According to Steve Dailisan, AirAsia's head of communications and public affairs and first officer, online services available through the AirAsia Move app, such as managing booking, check-in, payment for existing bookings, and other add-ons and purchases will also be temporarily unavailable. During this period, guests are advised to go directly to the check-in counters to secure their printed boarding passes. Dailisan further explained that AirAsia's system upgrade includes updating its new Skies software to further speed up all online transactions from booking, payment, flight schedule changes, check-in, and purchases of add-ons, on providing visitors with an enhanced customer experience. AirAsia guests can also expect additional add-on features in AirAsia Move as a result of the system upgrade. AirAsia Philippines has advised guests needing medical or special assistance to arrive at the airport before 7 p.m. to ensure their needs are accommodated. Meanwhile, the low-cost airline has reassured passengers that no flights will be disrupted during the system upgrade. For God and my beloved Philippines, Carla Abeliana, SMNI News.
Many Filipinos are skeptical about the recent report from the Philippine Statistics Authority that inflation has slowed down. Sheena Torno reports.
The inflation rate, or the speed of price increases for basic goods and services in the country, slowed down in June 2024. According to data from the Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, inflation slightly decreased to 3.7% compared to May 2024 and June 2023. The main reason for the decrease in inflation is a slower rise in prices of housing, water, electricity, gas, and other petroleum products. Additionally, there was a slight decrease in the inflation rate for rice last month.
Of course, yung rice, while bumaba siya, hindi pa ganun kalaki, ang bigas, ang ating weight dyan ay 8.9%. Ito ay nasa 22.5% yung inflation rate niya noong Hunyo mula 23%. So while it decreased, the reduction is small.
The Department of Agriculture believes that the widespread implementation of the P29 program and the Rice for All program will greatly help continue the slowdown of inflation in the country. About 30% of the Filipino population will benefit from this, which is expected to significantly impact inflation.
Itong P29 Rice for All, alam natin 25% yung effect ng bigas doon sa overall inflation basket. Kaya magkakaroon ito talaga ng impact.
So yung impact po, mas lalong baba in the coming months?
Yes, dahil malaki yung percentage ng food item sa inflation at yung bigas natin, significant din yung proportion.
However, there are Filipinos who didn't feel the decrease in rice prices in June.
Hindi po, parang walang pagbabago ganun pa rin. Kasi ang binibili ko, medyo dati 50, naging 52, 53 na, lalo tumaas.
Ganun po yung binibili ko, ganun pa rin po, tumakas po. Sinasabi po nila na nabago po yung mga Pinoy. As is pa rin po, wala pa rin po pagbabago.
Ayaw ko nang maniwala. Ang budget ko talaga, kung itutulong ko lahat, nasa 6,000 kasama yung bigas. For 2 weeks na yun. Hindi po, 1 week lang yan ang 6,000 ko. For 1 week lang yan namin. Dahil sa sobrang mahal po.
On the part of the Philippine Statistics Authority, they cannot yet say if inflation in the country will continue to slow down in the coming months. They say that various factors still need to be considered that may affect overall inflation. For now, although overall inflation has decreased, inflation for food and non-alcoholic beverages, especially vegetables and pork, has increased.
Yung meat weight ay second siya sa mataas na dito sa ating food basket. Ito ay may weight ng mga 6.4% at yung vegetable mga 2.8%. Ito yung mga pwede nating risk factors para sa future inflation, in particular itong month of July.
For God and for my beloved Philippines, this has been Sheena Torno, SMNI News.
AFP Chief of Staff General Romeo Baranda Jr. has ordered the inclusion of Philippine flag patches in battle dress uniforms of Filipino soldiers. Paul Montibon reports.
As a symbol of national pride, AFP Chief of Staff General Romeo Baranda Jr. announced that the Philippine flag patch to be an integral part of the AFP white battle dress. This initiative aims to reinforce patriotism and solidarity as a visible reminder of AFP's commitment to upholding the Philippine sovereign rights and territorial integrity. These aligns with the broader efforts of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to foster national pride and unity among Filipinos. The announcement reflects the AFP's effort to provide vivid representation in carrying out its mission with honor and pride. Meanwhile, the Armed Forces of the Philippines rendered arrival honors to Lieutenant General Rowan Tolentino, Superintendent of the Philippine Military Academy, during his exit call on July 4th, 2024. Lieutenant General Tolentino, a member of PME Makatao class of 1989, paid his exit call to General Romeo Baranda Jr., AFP Chief of Staff, and other senior military officers as his term as PME Superintendent has come to an end. Prior to his stint as PMA Superintendent, Lieutenant General Tolentino held several key positions, including as the 42nd Commander of the 2nd Infantry Jungle Fighter Division, Philippine Army, the 18th Commander of the 703rd Infantry Aguila Brigade, Deputy Commander of Training and Doctrine Command, and Chief of Staff, Philippine Army. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, reporting Paul Montibon, SMNI News.
Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has deployed new warships capable of operating on the high seas and confronting its adversaries in the region. Melchizedek Cadis has the report.
IRGC, a branch of the Iranian Armed Forces, has commissioned hundreds of new warships in the past 3 years to keep up with the advanced weapons of its adversaries in the Persian Gulf and beyond. Over the years, the IRGC introduced newer variants of the missile, rocket, and heavy machine gun-clad speedboats that served as the backbone of its Navy fleet. But since 2022, the Navy branch of the Iranian Armed Forces commissioned new classes of warships capable of operating on the high high seas. Among this collection of military vessels included the Shahid Madavi, a converted container ship which is reportedly equipped with long-range missiles and an air defense system. In January 2024, Iran successfully tested 2 Fateh-class ballistic missiles aboard the container ship Shahid Madavi. The IRGC has now reached around 25,000 personnel since it was founded in 1985. It was tasked with the security of the Persian Gulf and operates alongside Iran's land-based missiles and aircraft. As tensions soared between Israel and Hezbollah, Iran warned that attacking its proxy group in Lebanon will lead to an all-out war and devastation for the Jewish state. Reporting from Kuwait, I am Melchizedek Cadiz, your global citizen correspondent for God and for our beloved country, the Philippines.
2 of the most active volcanoes in Italy have erupted, causing severe disruption among thousands of travelers and alert levels raised. Catania Airport in Sicily was temporarily closed after Italy's Mount Etna and the smaller Stromboli volcano erupted. At least 90 outbound and inbound flights have been canceled, which in turn affected around 15,000 passengers. Mount Etna, one of the most active volcanoes in the world, displayed intense activity in recent days. Standing at almost 11,000 feet, it is Italy's tallest peak and has erupted multiple times in decades. Almost 200 kilometers away lies Mount Stromboli, which also spewed hot ash and lava. The 924-meter stratovolcano erupted after a gradual increase in volcanic activity was observed in recent days. Italy is the only country in mainland Europe that has active volcanoes. Iran-backed group Hezbollah fired more than 200 rockets towards Israel after one of their senior commander was killed in an Israeli airstrike. Let's hear more from this report from Gratero Mori.
Several military bases in Israel were pounded with rockets and drones in retaliation for the killing of Hezbollah senior commander Mohammed Namen Nasser. About 200 projectiles and more than 20 attack drones landed in the Israeli annexed Golan Heights and other territories. Israel military said it had intercepted some of them. One Israeli soldier was killed in the attack. Hezbollah accused Israel of killing the senior commander with an airstrike by targeting his car while passing through the city of Tyre in southern Lebanon. The assassinated commander was in charge of the Aziz unit and responsible for the entire western section of southern Lebanon. The Israeli military described Nasir as the one responsible for launching rockets from southwestern Lebanon and accused him of commanding a large number of terror attacks that targeted the Jewish state. The new round of violence sparked fears the clashes could escalate into an all-out war. Reporting from Dubai, I'm Gratero Omor, your global citizen correspondent for SMNA News Channel.
A group of hackers issued a surprise apology after launching a massive cyber attack that compromised Indonesia's national security and crippled hundreds of government services nationwide. Anissa de Guzman reports.
Hackers apologized for their misbehavior following a ransomware attack that disrupted the day-to-day lives of millions of Indonesians more than 2 weeks ago. The cyber attack that started on the 20th of June compromised more than 200 government services and caused long delays at the capital's main airport, with long lines formed at the immigration gate. The massive ransomware attack was launched by a hacking group known as Brain Cipher, who made government data inaccessible through encryption. The chaos caused a major headache to 2 data centers in Jakarta, which keeps the information for more than 230 public agencies after finding out it did not have backups available. Despite this, the government refused to pay the $8 million ransom demanded by hackers in exchange for access to the encrypted data. In a surprising turn of events, the hackers offered an apology to the Indonesian citizens for their misbehavior and offered the key for government agencies to access the stolen data. The hacking group said they are hoping that the incident will serve as an important lesson to finance the cybersecurity industry and to recruit qualified specialists, adding that their attack was not political but a test of vulnerability of the country's cybersecurity systems. Reporting from Thailand, I'm Anissa de Guzman, your global citizen correspondent for God in our beloved country, the Philippines.
Several members of a call center scam gang operating in Thailand were arrested, and another assets worth 30 million baht were also seized. Chat Mongkong Piso Mai Gosong reports.
Southeast Asian countries, including Thailand, witnessed a rising trend of various transnational organized crime, including call center scams. Police officers in Thailand busted a hybrid scam gang known as Lockstar. Police raided 4 locations in Bangkok, Chiang Rai, Nonthaburi, and Pathum Thani, where the syndicate group operates. 6 suspected members were arrested, while cash and other assets worth 30 million baht were seized. The police received reports from victims who were tricked to install an app and invest into a digital currency which promised high returns. The suspects were charged with money laundering, colluding in participating in a transnational crime organization, and public fraud, among others. Southeast Asia is witnessing rising cases of online scam centers that are swindling billions of dollars from victims, according to a recent report. Reporting from Thailand, I'm Shatmongkon Bisamai Koson, your global citizens correspondent for SM9 News Channel.
A woman who went missing for hours ended up being swallowed by a whole giant python in Indonesia. The incident marked the second python killing in the same province in a month. A 36-year-old woman named Siriati went missing after she left her house on Tuesday, the 2nd of July, to buy medicine for her sick child. Her 30-year-old husband, Ariansa, found her slippers and pants about 500 meters away from their home in Siteba village, South Sulawesi province. The husband became suspicious after he spotted a giant snake nearby with a very large belly. Ariansa sought help from other villagers to catch the 30-foot python and cut its belly, where they found his wife's body inside. Siriati became the 6th person to be devoured by a python in Indonesia since 2017. A gruesome scene took place in the same province last month when 45-year-old Farida was found inside the belly of a 16-foot python. The entire village, including her husband, searched for the missing woman for days until they decided to cut open the stomach of a suspicious-looking python, where Farida was found fully clothed inside the snake. Reticulated are widespread in Indonesia and other parts of Southeast Asia. They are known to eat monkeys, pigs, and other mammals and kill their prey by squeezing them to death before swallowing it whole. A local community in South Korea is mourning over the loss of a robot civil servant after it allegedly committed suicide by jumping down a staircase. Kim Sang tells us more.
What could be the nation's first case of a robot committing suicide has been reported in South Korea. A civil servant cyborg that had been assisting residents in Gumi City with municipal tasks for almost a year reportedly jumped and crashed itself down a flight of stairs for an unexplained reason. The robot was found unresponsive at the bottom of the stairs last week with a team tasked to investigate the incident. The cyborg worked from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and had its own public service card. Unlike other robots, it knows how to use the elevator and can move itself between floors. Pieces of the shattered robot had been collected for analysis. The incident sparked a nationwide debate in what many call the country's first robot suicide, and social media users questioned why the robot behaved that way. According to the International Federation of Robotics, South Korea has the highest robot density in the world, with 1 robot for every 10 employees. Reporting from South Korea, this is Kim Sung, your global citizen correspondent for God in our beloved country, the Philippines.
And before we end, may be inspired with the words of the Sun. The Word of God is the most important thing and factor in the life of an individual. And that's all for this edition. For more news updates, you may visit smninewschannel.com or follow us on our official social media accounts on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I am Franco Baranda, and this is Newsline World.
Subscribe to SMNI News Channel and turn on the notification bell to keep you up to date. Also visit our official social media accounts and join our community on Viber and Telegram.